Greetings and peace to you all. My name is Umi. Thank you guys for joining me for another video. Thank you to everyone who has liked, shared, subscribed, booked a session, made donations. I absolutely appreciate the support. So today we're going to talk about the earth element and how you can connect to her. Yes, her. Like water, the earth element is feminine, making fire and air masculine in terms of how we psychologically identify, understand, and display these particular energies. So we'll get more into it. I do have some notes I may be reading sometimes, so if me reading bothers you, I'm sorry. Thanks for tuning in. Okay, so before we can explore the earth element and its use in alchemy, astrology, or magic, what some may identify as just manifesting, it's important that you assess how it is that you understand this element. All the elements are living. All the elements are living. The spirit and energy behind what we understand to be natural forces is living. The essence of God is in all things. So do not confuse me highlighting the earth or fire element or water element or just talking about it and just putting a lot of emphasis on it as some form of worship. Keep in mind that our planet, her oceans, the air, everything that we're seeing happening with animals, all of this is as a result of humanity's neglect and humanity's ignorance as it pertains to the earth. We are detached and far removed from this element in ways that most of us can't even imagine. How do I want to word this? It has a lot to do with the fact that people have been very much consumed by and become consumers of entertainment and pleasures and just what for them feels like, you know, living, when in fact it has a lot to do with just consuming. And so we're producing a lot of waste and toxicity onto the planet. So this video is not like a pro-planet video, but you can't consider yourself an alchemist or conjurer or whatever you think you are if you don't understand the earth at large, as well as just the earth element. So here are some things that the earth element represents. This is not all inclusive. You can absolutely jump in the comments and add to this list. But for some of you who are just trying to study and understand this element, here are some things to keep in mind. It represents fertility, the foundation from which we build, groundedness, absorption, density, gravity, roots, abundance, fixity, and structure, among other things. Keep in mind, we cannot connect with the earth by simply reading about it or claiming intention, no more than we can connect with someone by reading their bio or just studying a photo. We have to physically, mentally, and spiritually engage with the natural world to not only connect with an element, but to master it. You may see nature every day, as many people do. They see it driving. People will say, oh, I have a park in my neighborhood and there's trees around. Like, you see nature, but you can still feel disconnected from it. Maybe you don't like bugs. You don't ever walk outside barefoot. To you, that's like taboo, or your mom like, don't go outside without shoes on. And so you've just never actually spent time interacting, touching the earth, getting your hands dirty. You always wear gloves if you're gardening or farming, that kind of thing, in which we can become disconnected from the earth in a way that we're truly meant to connect, or the way that our ancestors, our elders have connected with the earth. So when we are disconnected, this in turn affects our ability to ground. What does this mean? There are many, many videos and probably books on being grounded. Just feeling stable, feeling as if you have a foundation. You're not flighty, you're not, distracted and easily like losing your attention span. You know how to manifest, you know how to focus your attention on a thing long enough to make it to come about. So when people are grounded, they typically have, their reasoning is very sound. So this is getting more into the alchemy, the mental alchemy connected with the earth element, in the sense that being grounded helps people to just feel secure in their environment, secure within themselves. And so your ability to do that and your ability to manifest, all of these things are affected the more and more disconnected you are from the earth element. Okay, so developing a symbiotic relationship with the earth means we can sense the needs of the earth. So certain things can bother you, like animals washing ashore, seeing millions of pounds of mask and waste that has just recently accumulated in our oceans. You sense that the earth is going through a change, so you're not in denial that there are certain global changes happening. So that relationship you have with the earth, or that you're working to develop, just helps you to sense things. Very much the way certain animals can respond when there's a storm approaching, or there's just something going on with the earth. Maybe an earthquake is imminent, and animals just have this sort of sense of these things. Humans have it too when we're not on our devices all day and sleeping on the umpteenth floor of an apartment building, and we actually take time to be grounded. We can have that same sensory and heightened sense of awareness when it comes to the earth. Also, this is associated with your earthly vessel. Dust you came, dust you shall return. How are you treating the physical body? What is your relationship with the physical body? Do you despise your flesh? Are you taking care of yourself? So how you connect to the body is also, in many respects, a way for you to assess how it is that you connect to the earth element. No matter how much material assets a person gains, if they're not grounded and building on a solid foundation, they very well may suffer with depression, anxiety, things not being good enough. So just being dissatisfied with what they do have, and self-destructive tendencies. So when we're lacking a sense of groundedness, we often are not caring about how much waste we're accumulating, our lifestyles, and even we can turn that attention and energy of negligence and, just destroying and being a consumer inward. And so we can really start to take a toll on the physical body, not caring about how the body is giving us signs and symptoms to indicate toxicity, a lack of rest, being burdened and overwhelmed. If you continue to live and just go to work and drink and just do what you do and not caring, that same relationship you have with the body, again, is connected to the relationship you have with the earth element. So money and what you see people manifesting, like, oh, well, that person probably isn't connected to the earth. They have cars and houses and this and that. They may be miserable as hell, and you don't even realize it, that they're not grounded. They're not secure within themselves, which is why they have this, it's not good enough. I got to have more and more and more to feed this sort of empty void within themselves. But that's a whole nother video. So in the next video, we will explore and delve more into the alchemy and the more, I guess, deeper or metaphysical aspects to the earth element. We're just covering the basics here, or getting some of the fundamentals down. The kind of alchemy I'm going to be sharing has more to do with inner work. This isn't actual science experiments that we're going to be doing. No chemistry here. So for example, someone with too much earth element can be very rigid in their thinking. They can be afraid to try new things and to take risk. They may place more value on material things than actual relationships, or defend limited beliefs and ideologies without budging. So again, this is an example of the mental alchemy and how we can explore the earth element in this respect. The inner work begins by acknowledging the imbalance. You have to identify that first and then begin the work. It's like going in the kitchen to start baking, but you have no idea what you're baking. What are you baking? You need to know what your intention and what it is that you're putting your efforts and energy in this practice toward. A healthy connection with the earth means we honor it. All of our physical needs come from the planet and therefore shouldn't be taken for granted. Through the earth element, we come to understand the life cycle, which is the conception, birth, life, destruction, death, and decay. So that is what the earth element can absolutely symbolize. And it's not the most pleasant, like all of the earth element is not this sort of pleasantry of beauty and gardening and, white sand and rich soil. It has a lot to do with what we witness within the physical body, to do with our pains and limitations and density, things feeling stuck. This is also connected to the earth element. So the symbolism here is you may see a mountain, in which a mountain in our consciousness and our psyche can symbolize permanence, something that is immovable. It's a permanent fixed thing. How we can apply the earth element here. A dirt road for some people may symbolize a familiar path. So when we see certain things, our mind, our subconscious, our unconscious can register these what we're seeing in these sensations and deliver a message for us. The alchemist is able to see these symbols and identify these messages and apply it to inner transformation. Do you want to be like that mountain, strong, fixed, a focal point, a landmark, something that represents what's bigger than life or bigger than us? So to stay on track here, These are 7 ways that you can connect with the earth element to better understand it and its significance in your life. Number 1, having natural materials in your home or workspace. This may include wood, ceramics, metals such as bronze, brass, copper, tin, glass, natural fiber paper, natural fabrics, and natural dyes. So I'm not saying get rid of everything in your house, anything plastic or polyester or whatever, throw it all out and go buy a bunch of natural stuff. No, the whole purpose here is to avoid accumulating more stuff and creating more waste and junk in your life, but also within the planet. So whatever you can get that's in your environment, like reused, refurbished, recycled, and just doing a little bit at a time. So in my room, I have a lot of wood things, I have glass, I have sand, I just have stuff that for me connects me with the earth element, and I just naturally gravitate to these things when I'm shopping. I've never been a big fan of just a lot of synthetic and fake stuff. No disrespect to anybody who has, fake plants or whatever. It didn't resonate with me. I'm a Taurus with Cap rising, and my connection with the earth in that way, I've just naturally been drawn to just having living plants and more natural things. And it benefits me as far as groundedness, feeling secure and comfortable within my space. Number 2, studying cultures that are dedicated to preserving sacred teachings and practices that protect the earth. This includes indigenous cultures and especially traditional native Indian systems. So as much as we see everyone burning sage and Palo Santo and we're burning stuff and we're all so, mystical all of a sudden, when you're connecting with the earth element, you want to study the cultures behind these practices. And as they have Choctaw community here in Mississippi where I live, so I was able to go actually on the land, meet the people, see how it is that they still practice and embody their customs. And even when I'm working with herbs, roots, plants, I want to know where it came from. Is it native to this land? How can I honor it? And how can I show that I respect its use in certain spiritual practices? So I encourage that for all of you, not to jump on the bandwagon of just what all of these spiritualists or certain people are promoting, and in some cases exploiting. You want to use discernment and do your own research as to how you're going to engage with the natural world. Number 3, instead of plastic or synthetic objects as decor, which is similar to number 1, consider collecting things like rocks, crystals, sticks, animal bones and feathers, if this is not against your spiritual beliefs, shells, sand, or soil. So I just have an example of this. This is some soil I brought back from my family's land. So my father is from a small town in Fitzgerald, Georgia, and my family has been on that land since the mid to late 1800s. And the reason I brought some soil back was because not only is it beautiful, rich black soil that's great for growing things, but the symbolism for me that my family has been on this land. So that symbolizes longevity. My mother or my grandmother and my great grandmother, and they've all raised children that have run across this land. They've planted and rotated crops on this land. So it has a lot of sentimental value and symbolism for me. And when I have it here in my space, it's like having a little piece of my roots here, connecting me to the soil, connecting me to the earth, and reminding me of sort of where my people come from as respects to this particular area, that they're still on that land. So I share that because some of you, when you travel home or who live on the coastline, you might want to get some ocean water. You might want to bring back some sand. You might want to collect some shells and bring it to your space. And it just may have a certain symbolism for you. So just consider that. Number 4, using herbs as medicine in place of conventional pills and synthetic drugs. Herbs such as roots, leaves, stems, bark, resins, and wax. Study literature that can help you to safely source and administer herbs to you and your family. Participate in foraging tours. There's probably local botanists or herbalists or people in your area that you can go on maybe a free tour or whatever. They're usually a small fee that you have to pay, a small charge, and you can go and participate where you learn how to interact with the natural world, identify food or medicine right within your community, right within your space, your area. And then you get educated on these things. And so this, again, is another way that we can connect with this element before we go to just practice or use it. We don't want to use it. We want to honor it, respect it, get familiar with it, and then know how it serves us, like in terms of healing, in terms of our community. So again, what's your agenda? What's your intention? What's the why behind your connection and your desire to connect with the earth element? Number 5, sitting outside and enjoying natural scenery, sounds, and sensations. So sitting directly on the earth with no electronics attached to you. Leave your car, tablet, iPad, computer, laptop, whatever, leave it in the car and dedicate whatever amount of time that you've chosen to be at this park or right in your neighborhood, your front porch, backyard, wherever, and just be still. Enjoy the sound of birds. Just enjoy the space that you created for yourself time-wise, and as well as the space in terms of the environment, to just be there and be present and be at peace, not expecting anything, no expectation. You know, the earth isn't going to start just talking to you. It may, I don't know how sensitive or receptive you are to these things, but you know, you may get certain vibratory frequencies from your groundedness, planting your feet, sitting on the earth, laying on the earth, getting your hair on the earth, and being okay with that. It is customary in certain countries, certain nations, you can certainly research this, that when people are undergoing ailments or mental health issues, that the elders will dig a hole, put the person in the soil under the earth up until about their neck, and you stay there like overnight, and you have other people around you to facilitate the ritual. But it's a way of the earth absorbing whatever you have going on, whether it is a physical ailment or some type of, you know, if you felt like somebody's put something on you, put a hex on you or whatever, people could be placed in the earth as a means to heal the body and to just sort of discharge any negative toxic energy, because the earth knows how to heal herself. And the earth has so much happening within the sphere of her vibratory frequency that she's able to do her own housework, if you will. Camping outside and exposing yourself to the elements is also recommended. I hear very often amongst Black folks, you know, I don't camp, we don't do all this. I don't like mosquitoes, bugs, and snakes, and this, and the third. I hear you, I understand, it's just not your thing, but you have to understand that at one point, not only did we spend more time outdoors, but we lived outdoors. We spent time underneath the stars. We spent time out in the hot ass sun. So just suck it up. Just try and connect with your ancestors and your elders, and just your connection with the planet that's in your blood. It's not going to be foreign for you. Even though you may have forgotten these things, it's not foreign. You just need to recall and remember what it means to be out in nature, connecting with nature. So camping, you can make it as convenient and comfortable and, you know, fancy as you want, but the simpler you can do the camping, the better. Meaning you don't have to have a bunk bed inside your campsite and, you know, heaters and TVs and all this stuff to make it so domesticated. Just do that one. And you can do day camping, meaning you go somewhere where you set up your tent during the daytime and you maybe grill out and cook out, take a little nap in your tent, and then pack up and leave before it gets dark. If you don't deal with, you know, foxes and stuff at night, things howling and making noise, that's fine. Just do whatever works for you. Number 6, which I always encourage, many of you who've done sessions with me, you've heard me put this out there, adopt a plant, adopt some plants. Switching artificial plants for real ones. Living plants have a way of revealing the energy in a room. So don't worry if your plants wither or they die. It's a matter of just practicing, getting familiar with caring for plants. And that may happen at first. So it does require a little effort. And you're learning to listen and develop patience by handling plants. So it's not even so much about aesthetics and you just get them because they look pretty. It's also a way for you to develop a connection with your plants. So sometimes, and I don't care if this sounds weird or not, but I feel my plants are letting me know when they're thirsty, not because they're drooping, but just like, it's like I just hear like, I need some water. And I was like, okay, let me go get some water, because I sense that my plants need some water. And they're still alive. They've been doing really well for several years. I've had some plants for quite a while. I've had some that I just have gotten maybe within the last 6 to 8 months. But if you feel you're not really good at big plants and trees and exotic plants, and you don't want to spend $40 on plants, you can get something like a little lucky bamboo. I think this little shoot was like $2.99, and you see the little roots here. Stick it in a little bit of water and just let it be. Doesn't need very much. You don't have to move it. You don't have to water it. It's just sitting in its little bit of water. Little succulents or cactus-like plants are also really good for new plant owners, people who are just getting started with this. Number 7, eat living foods. A constant diet of processed and packaged food, animal meat, and artificial flavors only serves to detach us from the natural world. Many of you know that. I've said that. If you're, consider yourself a spiritual person, you've probably already maybe gone through a wave of being a vegan, or just, you're wanting to be more conscious about what it is you're putting in your body. And so it's no different when it comes to us connecting with this particular element, the earth element, that if you want to connect with the earth, eat of her fruit. Fruits and vegetables and water do not come from the grocery store. We can purchase them from the grocery store, but the closer we are to getting our food right off the ground, right from the earth, and consuming it, you get those messages from Mother Earth, those messages from the Most High, because that is the natural way in which we receive our messages and we receive our nutrients and our healing is through the plants. It's the healing of the nation. So I understand everyone doesn't live in a rural area, but whether you live in a big city like New York, you can absolutely drive to the outskirts, to local farms and vineyards, and ask people, hey, can I come and pick? Some places and farms, they let you pick your own food. They give you tours. There's local farmers. There's people that you can engage with that can help you to learn a little bit more about what it is you're eating and consuming, and that can be your source. You may go there just to get onions or just to get strawberries. You don't have to get all your food fresh from the land. Obviously, we all buy our fruits and vegetables, but if you can get it in season, if you can get it local, that's all the better. So lastly, remember that connecting with the earth is for your own healing and well-being. It is not about using the earth element, but respectfully applying these principles for personal growth and spiritual maturity. So again, before you start dabbling in practices of conjure and alchemy and high magic or whatever the internet is trending in the wake of metaphysics, recognize where you are, where you're trying to go, and your intentions. Period. Love her, love her, love her. If you're not comfortable vocally expressing your thanks and appreciation for the planet, for fear of what other people may say, people see you outside talking to the earth and being all, hippie-ish. I don't know why you would care what other people think anyway, but being that many of us are a bit sensitive, you can send a telepathic line of communication, a heartfelt telepathic message of gratitude to the earth. So when you step outside in your barefoot and you just give thanks telepathically, thank you. Thank you for giving me a solid foundation. Thank you for continuing to produce fruit in which we can eat. Be thankful that you have a place that you can walk freely and engage with the planet. We're not all walking on concrete and in these very torn down, destructive environments. Some people are living that way, where their entire environment feels like a wasteland. It's desolate. Maybe it's been drought. So wherever you are, that's why we can't take it for granted, and we have to express our gratitude that we have this place. So I get a bit, frustrated at times when people are, oh, that's earth worship. We don't worship the earth. We worship God. That's wonderful. But if you think that you can worship God and then completely neglect the planet and be a consumer, and you're just fast food and eating like a pig, and you're living any kind of way, but you profess love of God, what is that? God has provided such a space for us on this planet in order to enjoy her fruits, enjoy this earth. But are you a good steward of that? Are you taking care of her? Or you just think you're entitled? That's not the way this works. So respect, honor, and loving the planet is the way that we are showing respect, honor, and love of God. So thank you guys for tuning in. I hope this information was useful. I hope that you are getting out, connecting with the earth. We are going to delve more into the alchemy, how you can work more with the herbs and plants, how it is that you can manifest by way of your connection with the earth, just in terms of certain rituals that have worked for people. Like I mentioned, working with the soil, working with certain natural elements, serve as a way to absorb energy. I always had an attraction to old houses. since I was little, just old houses with the old wooden floors and creaky floors and stuff like that, because I felt that there were so many memories. So many feet have walked on these floors, and it has a lot of energy in these types of homes. So if it wasn't a bad home, you know, where there was a lot of abuse and just toxicity in the home, you can absorb that sort of homeliness, just in my opinion, when you're in these sort of old spaces, which is why some people are attracted to antiques and these things. So there are dangers associated with, you know, objects and metals and woods and how they can absorb and harness energy, have energy in them, which is why people do certain things to clear it and clean it, and, you know, just their own little way of making sure they're not bringing anything in the house that's associated with something bad. So that's just how powerful working with natural things can be, that it absorbs. That's the earth element. And you want to know what you're working with before you go and buy stuff and you're collecting crystals and you're doing these types of things. So again, I hope this was useful. I thank you guys so much for tuning in. Share your thoughts, share your comments. How are you working with the earth element? How are you benefiting? Are you an earthy person? So yeah, thank you guys again. And until next time, peace.